Welcome, everybody. We'd like to start our presentation this evening. We have the great fortune of having an outstanding speaker this evening, Silvio Garaventa, class of 1971, who's currently the Vice Chairman of Garaventa Enterprises, is with us this evening. Like his father and grandfather before him, he's been involved with all phases of the Garaventa Enterprises. In 2010, he became the Vice Chairman. And prior to that, he was the CEO as well as Vice President for the enterprises as well, and in the past manager of the Concord Disposal and related entities. In 2000, he received the City of Concord Mayor Awards for community service, and he was one of our significant 75 in the Tampa School of Business, which is a great honor. He's very involved in the community. He sits on several boards and is the founder and president of the Concord Youth Sport Foundation. He earned his bachelor's degree here at the Tampa School of Business, and he has an honorary doctorate in human letters from California State University, East Bay. Please join me in welcoming Silvio Garaventa.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate being here back at the university. Let's get myself together here and start to get some housekeeping done and we'll go through this. It wasn't all that long ago that I actually was in this building. I was in the food service area. And on the other side, on Commons, part of my job was taking out garbage every night, cleaning up, taking out the garbage. And I never got away from that. But one of the things as I get into this, I thank you for the opportunity to come and speaking today regarding leadership and ethics. It's a real pleasure to be back here. I appreciate the administration. I actually talked to Father Beauchamp today. Many of you know Dr. Fowler, correct? Dr. Fowler over there. What some of you don't know is that I actually went to Salzburg with Dr. Fowler, and he was our faculty advisor. Later on that year when he married Madeline, there was a number of us that went to Salzburg. Myself and two of my friends were actually in his wedding. Now I'm going to guess a number of you think that Dr. Fowler is very straight-laced. How many of you think that? I might tell you that Dr. Fowler taught me how to drink beer. I was only 18 at that point. Drinking beer in Austria is legal at that point. Also, if any of you enjoy, anyone knows what mint juleps are? He would also teach us all about horse racing, how to handicap horses and drink mint juleps. So he's not as straight-laced as what you think. I do appreciate Bill Reed. Bill Reed and I went to high school together. And then we came to college together. I have some other friends here, Danny and Carl O'Neill, my wife Patty, and my two sons. My sons, I should tell you, one went to Santa Clara, the other one's at St. Mary's College. So the banter at night's actually pretty fun and interesting. As I get into the majority of my speech, it's about leadership and ethics. Many of you clearly don't know what Garaventa Enterprises is. It's a family-based company that was started by my grandfather in the 1930s. My father ran the company for about 4 years until his death in '98, and then I was the CEO and have been the CEO from '98 to the year 2010. I'm currently the Vice Chairman of the company. What are we? We are a fully diversified solid waste garbage company. We also do an awful lot in the recycling business. We've really transformed ourselves in our industry from a solid waste company to a recycling company. There's an awful lot of legislation that's gone on in recent years throughout the company, and we're arguably one of the leaders in this business. In terms of nationally, we're probably in the top 40 to 50 companies that are held in the United States. We're very proud of it. Our primary companies are in the San Francisco Bay Area. We are franchised in the majority of our cities. That means that our rates are controlled, and so we're also very active in those communities. communities. Our population base, we service about 300,000 people. We employ about 325 people in our Contra Costa operation. Going green and recycling, that's not news. In our business, we've been going green for going back to the time of my grandfather and my father and myself. And when I got out of college, that was what I primarily did, the recycling business. We pride ourselves in service at a fair and reasonable price, and our commitment to community and being part of the fabric of the community is part of our DNA. You're going to hear more about us being involved in our community, how has it allowed us to grow, how has it allowed us to compete with multi-billion-dollar companies, and I'll do that later on. I've been asked to explain who I am and talk about some of my accomplishments. The short version is I started in the company when I was 12 years old. I started sweeping the floors. When I was 15, I got promoted to the garbage trucks. Some of you are smiling about that. That's kind of a badge of courage. Upon graduation, I went into the office. Some of my own personal accomplishments. And I must tell you, I feel somewhat uncomfortable and awkward about talking about some of these accomplishments. It's not my nature to do that. But by the nature of our discussion today, I have to explain who I am, because clearly you don't know why I've been asked to speak rather than just being a garbage man off the street, right? It all started here at the University of Portland. I graduated in 1971. I was a member of Who's Who. I was very proud to be the youngest president of the Concord Chamber of Commerce, actually 31. So after I graduated, I became very involved in the community. I was able to rise very quickly. By the age of 33, I was president of Concord Rotary Club. The average age of those people was probably 30 years older than me, but I was able to run through the ranks. I've also been very involved into a number of board of directors at different high schools. Audrey Spencer Alvarado from Crown Left Board of Directors. I was on that board of directors. Jack McNell at De La Salle was also on that board of directors. And I'm the founding member and coach of the Mount Diablo Soccer League. We raised $2 million in our community to build a community youth sports field. It wasn't all that long ago, just 4 or 5 years ago, that I was actually a Class 1 coach. I'm sure a number of you have played soccer, both men and women, and I was a Class 1 coach. And you'll hear about the benefits of that, keeping balanced in your business and professional career and your family career. And I'll talk about that later on. In 2013, I'm going to be president of our statewide Solid Waste and Recycling Association throughout the state of California. This is multinational companies all the way down to small companies. We probably have in the range of both organizations probably about 500 members. I received the Community Service Award in 2000. I've also been able to really connect with labor, and that's as you go through your business career, labor is going to be a very important part. I was able to connect with them. You'll hear more about being able to connect with friend and foe. Fortunately, I received the University of Portland Significant 75 Award in 2010, and I'm very proud of the honorary doctorate that I received last year from the California State University System. I've been asked to speak today on leadership and ethics. The dictionary defines leadership as a person who guides or directs a group. John Wooden, the famous basketball coach from UCLA, who won 10 national titles, in his book Pyramid of Success, indicated leadership is the ability to get individuals to work together for a common good. I want to add that leaders must have a vision, They must inspire, motivate, and create hope. I believe they also must create trust. There are many definitions and many books written about ethics. Dr. Fowler teaches an ethics class. Many libraries have wings dedicated to ethics. Ethics goes back forever in time. I like things done in a much more simple, direct way. The definition that I like the most is doing the right thing when nobody is looking. What type of leader am I? I've been asked to also speak on some of my own personal ways of leadership. I pride myself on being knowledgeable and prepared about my business and my other involvements. I try to create a team effort or trying to pull people together, and many times asking for their opinions. I like collaboration. If you put smart people in a room, such as yourself, you're some of the best and brightest. You put smart people in a room, you're going to get generally a good result if you get participation. My style is to keep my ego in check. I try to be approachable, and I try to be as transparent as possible. There are different types of leaders, and it's your choice. Your choice, what type of leader you want to become. You can be ruthless. You can lead with fear. That can work. That can also work in the very short term. People that typically do that, I think they typically burn out, but I've also seen it to be very effective. You can be a dictator. You can be very opinionated. Or you can be collaborative. You can be open. You can be transparent. It is your choice. And there are many different versions of leadership. What's important is that you understand your personality and who you are and what works for you. Now, one of the things about power and leadership is that it's very intoxicating. It's fun to be at the wheel. But with power comes responsibility. President Abraham Lincoln once said, he never met a person from whom he did not learn anything. There have been many mentors in my life, as there's going to be many mentors in your life. My mentors are probably very similar to some of who your mentors have been. My grandfather was an Italian immigrant, a likable man, trustworthy and a hard worker. My father, an Italian immigrant, taught me the business. He was a different personality than myself. He taught the importance of hard work, to be loyal, to be my own man, and don't be afraid of competitors. My father-in-law taught me the importance of hard work, and there's no shortcuts. And he had very solid core values. As you go through your career, one, you need to know yourself. Two, you need to be your own person. There's no replacement for hard work and knowing your business, and it takes time to get to the best of your abilities. I also believe there needs to be a constant knowledge and constant learning and trying to find solutions. You need to continually educate yourself. That also protects yourself down the line in the event you have a bad boss that wants to get rid of you sometime. You have to be marked up. You must continue to learn. One of the things in our society that people forget is the importance of listening. The importance of giving credit to others, the importance of pulling people together. One of the things that I'm going to be talking about is mentors and mentorships. Mentors can help motivate you, inspire you, especially in your age group. It's very important. An early mentor of mine was a city manager. He was a dean of city managers, and he taught me a number of things. He taught me to do the job right, know your business, the importance of communication, and to be as transparent as possible. He was one of the most respected people in our community. He was also a man of terrific intelligence, character, and relationships. He was very disciplined. There was an attorney in our community, and he was a terrific communicator. He always had the ability to get things done, and I always admired that as a young man. There was a newspaper story done on him, and his quote was, "You can get a lot done if you don't care who gets credit for it." I want to challenge you in choosing your mentors. This is going to be very important for you in coming years in a very short time. I'm going to give you two groups of some of the greatest leaders in the last 100 years. I want you to ask yourself, why did they succeed? Why did they fail? What can you learn from them? I want you to think about the quote from Abraham Lincoln, that he never met a person that he did not learn something from. Some of those things are going to be bad, some of those things are going to be good. But Abraham Lincoln was right. I want you to ask yourself, are these people role models? Are they ethical? Do they have character? In your business career, you are going to meet versions of these people that are going to greatly impact your thoughts and directions. Group one. One of the great leaders in the last 100 years, Hitler. He was a great communicator. He organized a nation. He united parts of the world against him, and he did some great things. By reputation, he was the creator of the automobile. He also did some terrible things. He killed millions of people. Osama bin Laden, he will go down as a terrorist in the Western world and a hero and martyr in some parts of the Middle East. You have to acknowledge he was a leader. He was able to lead people by appealing to their core values. In my opinion, he was very destructive. A little bit more in the business realm. Bernie Madoff. Anyone ever heard of him? A great financial leader that's attracted billions of dollars and ultimately destroyed himself, excuse me, and his family through his Ponzi scheme. It just Monday this week, March 19, 2012, the New York Mets were involved in a claim that they owe plaintiffs in the Bernie Madoff case $160 million. If you meet a person like Bernie Madoff, and some of you may, run. Why did these people succeed? Why did they fail? I'm going to give you a second group. The second group, why did these people succeed? Oprah Winfrey, great communicator, brilliant businesswoman, a donator to many terrific causes. President Ronald Reagan, the great communicator. Actor, governor, president. He had the ability to talk to people about conflicting views. I will talk about him later on. Steve Jobs. He created Apple, the most inspired, the most admired company in the world. His communication was technology, by reputation, a tough, smart business person. Bill Gates, the creator of Microsoft, not that far from him. The thing I most admire about Bill Gates is his contribution to the foundation and his foundation for great world causes. Warren Buffett, a brilliant businessman who understands valuations very well, that gives away billions of dollars annually. My point is, as Abraham Lincoln indicated, you can learn from everybody. And part of my personality and business approach is learning from friend and foe. What separates these two groups is the use of power and if it was ethical. Greed of power, greed of money, can manifest itself in many ways. You can learn from your mistakes. I'm going to give you an example. I was in my mid-30s, talked to a friend about golf, and oh, by the way, you know, a stockbroker that could maybe help me out. Well, I got involved with this one gentleman, great stockbroker, or great golfer, by reputation a good stockbroker. I was looking at the dollars, how much money I was going to make from his great investments. He had a gold mine in Canada, and it was on the Canadian Stock Exchange that was going to hit. My father-in-law told me it was one of the stupidest things that I would ever do. I had to make a mistake. Within 6 months, he cut my portfolio in half, but it was the greed of the dollars and not pulling him back, and I lost half of my portfolio. Part of the problems with the gentleman also, the gentleman lacked character. He is now about 60 years old, has never been married, had 3 or 4 illegitimate children. I made a mistake. I adopted a rule after this investment turmoil that singles and doubles I can do very well with, and an occasional home run. Let me give you another example. How many of you want to make $5 million when you're 30? Lift your hands.
Dude, I'm going for 25.
How about, would you like to
Settle
retire at 40 years old with $15 million? Anybody? Raise your hand. How about 20 million when you're 45? Let me give you an example, true story. I told you I coached soccer. Jack McNell's brother was on my team. I was just coaching just 4 years ago. He put it like this, but I'll let you know it was with the head coach of St. Mary's College again. We and I got together and we had a very good class on the team. But anyways, there was one of the players on the team. His father had been a Wall Street trader. And in his 40s, he got involved in a buyout on Wall Street. Walked away with about $20 million. It was a buyout by Bank of America. Now, what he ended up doing is moving to a prestigious golf community. He donated a lot of money to his college, Notre Dame. He bought his 16-year-old son a Corvette. His trophy wife, she had many enhancements. He got bored and again started to invest in the stock market. What happened in 2008? He was an option trader. Guess where he is today? Anyone want to take a guess? It's back on Wall Street. His $20 million became about $1.5 million. But what happened? It was greed and a number of other things that created a lot of issues for him. Be careful what you ask for. The power of relationships is the next part of my speech. One of the most important things that you're going to be doing is developing relationships with your coworkers, business associates, competitors, and in your community. When you establish a relationship, you're able to relate to the person, you better understand the way the person thinks, and you're able to come to collaborative decisions. The American system in recent years is so profit-driven. It's the worst that I've seen in many, many years. We have lost the personal touch. If you are a stockbroker, an insurance agent, you want to establish relationships. It's good for business. You want to treat people in an honest, ethical way. You want repeatable, reoccurring business. How do you establish relationships? Why do people trust you? Ask the question. I think the answers are being genuine, being transparent, to both friend and foe. I think being knowledgeable about your subject base is important. Ask yourself what attracts you to people. Trust, loyalty, transparency. I have a rule. It's easy to be cynical in life, and it's a 90-10 rule. Sometimes it becomes 70-30, and sometimes it kind of moves around a little bit. But you have a choice in the way that you deal with competitors, business people, and employees. The 90-10 rule is 90% of the people that you employ or that work for us are terrific people. They're great family people. They want to contribute to their communities. But 10% have bad intentions. Osama bin Laden had bad intentions. That 10% can do a lot of damage. Don't be naive in this world about trusting people. But with the 90-10 rule, I think it's much better to view people from a positive nature than a negative nature. You know, one of the things that we've had, right or wrong, we've had a fair amount. We have people that work for us. And I'll give you an example. There was a woman that had worked for us. We did the interview. I did the final approvals on her. We put in a new computer system that we thought was bulletproof, latest, best, technologically based, and try to stay up on that. Well, she found a way around some of the safeguards. 100,000 plus later, we found out that she had been stealing from us. We're in the court system, the DA's office, and what my point is, there was a character flaw. Character created a problem. You didn't catch it. You have to be diligent on some of these things, but you cannot look with people with real negative ways. I don't think that is productive. Ronald Reagan had the ability to listen and find common ground. He was the great communicator. One of the things that I admire about Ronald Reagan, as President of the United States, he was a Republican. The majority leader in Congress that year was a gentleman by the name of Tip O'Neill. Tip, a Democrat, and President Reagan could not have been more philosophically opposed. Tip O'Neill was the majority leader, Democrat, President Reagan, a Republican. They were at absolute opposite ends of the philosophical spectrum. But what did they have the ability to do? They were able to meet on a weekly basis. They respected each other. But my point is, I have found great leaders to be able to advocate their position in a politely blunt and yet direct way. I would encourage you to try to be as transparent with friend and foe. Many people think that the best and brightest is whom you should associate yourself with. But people forget about his character. Try to associate yourself with people of character. If it's Little League, church, business, choose your mentors carefully. As you go through your business career and adult life, it's reasonable to ask, are you doing your best when nobody's looking? One of the things I want to discuss with you again is personal relationships. Technology, terrific. It is very important. My sons will tell you I am technologically challenged. I'm going to guess that you will tell that to some of your relatives, correct? Right? Correct. Texting, instant message, Twitters, and emails. Facebook. It is not Facebook. It is face-to-face. Technology is important, but it clearly does not replace personal contact. And as you go through your business career, people are craving personal contact. Try not to lose that. How do we compete in the marketplace? Our company, our prime competitors, are waste management. In 2010, They did $12 to $13 billion in revenue. Over 43,000 employees. Republic Industries, $9 billion in revenue, 39,000 employees. Waste Connections, $1.2 billion, 5,000 employees. How do we compete? It's relationships in our communities. A political strategist by the name of Richie Ross, we have been through a number of elections in our business. We tried to propose a landfill a number of years ago. Dumps, landfills are very politically active. Without getting involved in it, we went through 3 elections. But the political, and we were up against some of the largest companies in the world. This political strategist by the name of Richie Ross told me you cannot compete with big companies with money. We must find other ways to compete. What's our motto? Service, service, service. At a fair and reasonable price. We have made a terrific amount of personal contacts. We give people live customer representatives. Are we technologically based? Absolutely. But many corporations dial a number, on hold, wait, punch number 123, wait. We do it, and we have chose to do it in a different way to compete. We resolve complaints very quickly. We are not perfect. We also work on much smaller margins than the larger companies. Wall Street requires quarter-to-quarter profit and revenue numbers. Many of our managers have been president of Rotary clubs. Our lady managers have been presidents or optimists. And they are coaches and involved in their schools and churches. I'm going to make some comments, and I hope these are not taken out of context about corporate America. They can also, and there are going to be some negative comments, they can also apply to government, and they can also apply to individuals. Greed manifests itself in many different groups and organizations and individuals. Let me begin. Profits are good. Profits allow us a better life, homes, cars, families, and it can also make you comfortable. Corporations return much value to stockholders. Some corporations provide contributions to their communities. They contribute to local charities and organizations. And some just give lip service. But some large corporations and individual companies have a corporate conscience, but others, as recently as March 14th of this year, a gentleman by the name of Greg Smith slammed Goldman Sachs. He was an executive with the firm, and he said, when I worked on Wall Street in the 1980s, Goldman Sachs had a pristine reputation. The firm has lost its culture of integrity, teamwork, humility that once made it great. It has become as toxic and destructive as I've ever seen it. It makes me ill when people rip off their clients for the benefit of the firm and themselves. Even our Pope Benedict recently called for financial reforms. In October of last year, he denounced profit at all cost mentality as responsible for the financial meltdown. Be careful as you enter your business career on individuals that are only concerned about themselves. Unfortunately, the boardrooms are full of this concept. We forget about having reasonable returns and doing another deal. We forget about repeatable business. The idea is not about maximizing profits. I'll say that again. It's many times taught in school. The idea is not about maximizing profits, but to make a profit in the long term on reoccurring and repeatable transactions. I mentioned earlier about the power of relationships. There was the city of Napa. Most people will understand the Napa Valley because of the wine region. You've heard about that. 4 small companies, such as ourselves, got together a number of years ago, and we actually competed against one of the largest companies in the world. We took them out. Now, there was a number of issues, but we took them out not because of price. We took them out because of service. You can compete with whomever in different niches. They didn't provide the service that we provided, and we were able to compete and grow. And we did it through the power of relationships, through 4 very solid companies that got together that had an outstanding reputation. Let me give you a tip as I close this part of the speech. Be careful when you deal with your articulate, silver-tongued people that have all the answers and that do not listen. I've had some bad results from that over the years. Involvement in community. One of the things that I would encourage you to do is as you get out in your community, to try to get involved. It creates balance in your life. And one of the things you're going to need, it is so easy to be so wound up on business. You're going to want to do a good job. And you can overcompensate on that. It's the right thing to do. And it's also good business to find other niches, other avenues. A lot of people in business give it lip service. They get involved in coaching, mentoring, Boy Scouts, Rotaries, or Optimists. It's really good for business. Let me talk to you about a young stockbroker. In my late 20s, I may mention that I was very involved in the Chamber of Commerce. There was another gentleman who was also very involved in the Chamber of Commerce. He was probably maybe a couple of years older than myself. One of the things that was terrific is that he met a number of executives from Chevron, top executives that were involved in the Chamber of Commerce. He led them to Chevron retirees that were retiring from Chevron. He became one of the top producers in his stock firm as a result of that. He now lives on a prestigious golf course. He's doing very, very well for himself. Our family built a youth sports complex in the city of Concord. We helped organize the community and raised $2 million for the Concord Youth Sports Complex. Jack has played there many times. Take time for yourself and your family. Get involved in different community-based things. Not only is it the right thing to do, but it really built terrific relationships for our company, and it was really good for our business. Competitors typically wouldn't do something like that. I'm going to conclude this at this point, and then I'll be taking some questions and answers. But I would encourage you to stay focused and grounded in your business and family life. Continue to educate yourself. I would try to find smart people with character. Try to find a balance in your family and career. Develop personal relationships. And lastly, do the right thing when nobody's looking. Thank you. Now I want to take some questions and answers. I've been asked that I think this would probably go on for some time. So, however you'd like to proceed, I will open it up. I'll be very happy to take the first questions.
We talk a lot about moral dilemmas and making the right decision and everything. Often it's hard to figure out what the right decision is. So what do you do to find out what the right decision is?
I think one of the things I want to back this up just a little bit. You're going to be challenged to make the right decision. Sometimes you don't need to make it right then. You need to think it through. One of the things that I would encourage you to do, yes means yes, no means no. And if you need to think about something, take the time. You don't have to make snap decisions. One of the things, if I have dilemmas, I go to a group, people that I trust, and I ask them about awkward, difficult things. The background that you've been learning here, many of the things that you learn in grade school, high school, Catholicism, what you're learning right here at University of Portland, it is going to serve you well. If you treat people the way that you want to be treated, I think it's a good way to look. I'm going to jump a little bit. I'm going to add to it. One of the things that you're going to be having some difficulties with, many people create bonuses based on performance. The dilemma that you're going to have, and how are you going to handle it, that's you. Suppose you get a percentage of a deal, and you can charge somebody more than what you should. Are you going to do that? You're going to walk away with an extra 5%, 10%. Do you want to do that? You're going to have that question very soon. You're going to have to answer that. And I'm going to encourage you to play it straight. You want repeatable transactions. And people have a way of getting even if they know they've been taken advantage of. So that's another example of a dilemma, and I've clearly expanded on the question. And I've done that on purpose. Can I help you in other areas?
How do you recommend getting involved in the community?
I think that getting involved in the community, I think, I don't care if it's a chess club. One, I think you have to look at some of your interest levels. It's fun to get involved in the community. I'm going to tell you, it's really good for business. If you want to meet different people, you're going to have to put yourself out here. People are going to be very approachable to you, especially if you're young. Most people want young people involved in the community, involved in organizations. Step out, force yourself to step out. You'll be welcome. So I would encourage you to do that. Some other moral dilemmas. Talk to me about other issues. Any other questions? Yes.
I was going to say, when you had some time in Salzburg, have you traveled anywhere else, and did you pick up something from a different culture that you're now applying to your leadership?
How many of you have traveled to Salzburg or overseas? The answer to the question is very much so. I think one of the things I think as you travel, I know the Salzburg experience, people speak German, especially in that time frame, is very different than what I spoke. So it made me much more understandable of how other people think and why they would approach situations differently. That's one of the things I think I learned from Dr. Val and Tom, that I learned an awful lot by just traveling, listening to other people, asking questions of other people. And it's really helped me in my business career. So keep yourself very understandable, approachable, and I think it's going to serve you very, very well. Dr. Fowler.
So looking back on your career and back to your college days, what do you think would be the most important thing that they should be doing in their lives at this particular time? You gave them a lot of good advice for the future, but what should they be concentrating on now as they're getting ready to step out into the world?
Well, I think, how many of you are looking for jobs right now? A lot. I would, it's a tough economy. You're going to probably change jobs a few times. That's going to be common in the age group. I would continue to educate myself. If you have the opportunity to go on for a master's program sometime, I would encourage you to do that. Maybe wait for a while, but I would continue to educate myself. I would really try to find reputable companies. And I'm going to tell you again, try to hook yourself up with people that you trust and that will lead you properly. There are some people out there that are don't play the game real straight. They can't make a lot of money. They're going to be tempted. But I would try to play the game very straight, find mentors, even drop back to college professors sometimes, your priests, create a group of people that you can talk to, and try to find smart, reputable companies. Bob?
So I know some of your family's here, and that's an important piece of your life. How do you manage that balance between, pursuing a happy marriage and children and still managing recovery?
My wife keeps me straight. She keeps my ego in check. Actually, I think my involvement in the community has helped me keep balance in my life. Clearly running the company, all the demands of the company, trying to keep everybody happy, growing, whatever else, that's very, very difficult. And you can become very consumed in your business where don't lose sight of the track that you have to take care of yourself and your family, your children. You can save the world, screw yourself up. I know a number of politicians that have done that. So balance is really important. You're going to be very challenged on it. You have to be careful. Yes.
You talked about avoiding people who aren't playing it straight. If you meet people like that, instead of avoiding them, what strategies do you have to change people like that, or influence people that change their minds?
I don't know that you can change people like that. I made mention about, dealing with friend and foe with transparency. What's one of the odd things in life, especially in business that I'm in, sometimes in politics, friends become enemies. Enemies become friends. It's funny, people will change their values at times, but I think you need to be consistent. If you are consistent in your approach to people, I think that's best. I don't think to answer what part of your question is, I don't think you're going to really change people too much at different times. People have a lot of different influences. You may be dealing with someone that's, let's say, in insurance, and he can only move so far because his boss has said, this is what's going to be charged. And he may require that person to maybe not do something that's overly ethical. I think you have to educate yourself to know that people are taking advantage of you. It's your responsibility to do that. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I don't think you can change people.
I think personally that if you are encountering someone like that, I think you have to decide that you can only do so much or only go so far, and then you can't do any more than that, because you're not going to get to a solution, or you're not going to get to what you talked about today, and that's winning for both sides. Because in a lot of cases like that, somebody that you want to win and somebody else, you want the other person to lose. And that may be a great short-term goal, but long-term, it doesn't.
Any other questions?
You
It's really difficult. That's a great question. We try to hire good people and teach them to become good workers. We don't necessarily try to hire good workers. I think the character of the person is really important. Now, it's the 90-10 rule is somewhat my approach and the way I try to deal with people. And if I'm having a bad day, it can become something less than that. You know, if I know someone has ripped us off, I'm not real good about a 90-10 rule. But the only thing is, I think it's a better way to live. It's a better approach in dealing with people rather than being negative. Most people really want to do a good job. Most people do. Have I answered your question?
Well, how do you inspire them? You said you talk about like you hire the good people and you pay them for the good workers. How do you need to improve people to be good people?
I think part of it is with management, is encouraging management to do a good job with the people that they hire. I think you have to be diligent and try to work and try to promote good people, good thoughts. If you being a leader are negative all the time, that's going to permeate yourself and that attitude through the system. It's difficult to do that, but you have to work on yourself first. You really have to work on yourself. You have to look in the mirror every day and say, I'm going to try to be positive about this. It's very easy to slip down that negative track, and I can do that. I'm not perfect, I can do that. But I try to bring myself back. Anything else? Any other questions? You know, one of the things I really enjoyed coming here today, enjoy your business careers. I mean, you're on the edge of just terrific excitement. You're going to have a lot of fun in your business career. Just make sure you keep it all together. You're going to do just great. You got a great school here.